Good morning, students. I hope you all are fine. Today we are going to learn Dvrbch, written by Matthew Arnold. Now, Matthew Arnold, born in 1822, was one of the greatest Victorian English poets. All right. So this particular poem, since it belonged to Victorian age and about Victorian age, I have already introduced you in the poem The Darkling Thrush by Hardy. So the same period or same age here also we find in this particular poem. So before I start this poem, Dvrbch, I just wants to remind you all about the age when the poem was written. All right. This poem, Dvrbch, it was first published in 1863 in the collection New Poems, but there are certain certain critics who claim that it was written in a different time. So most likely we can fix that the poem was written near around 1851. So before I start the poem, let us, as I told you all, we need to know certain facts. I just wanted to let you all remind once about certain facts during the time when this poem was composed. All right. So this poem actually it was written in an age when we can call that age was one of the intellectual, moral and age of religious doubt, and obviously of in an age that was of uncertainty. All right. And for this various factors contributed to this. Means as the age was, as I termed, the age was of there was religious doubt, there was uncertainty. So various factors contributed to this, like the scientific work of the Darwin, the theory of evolution, and the development of science and industrial revolution. Everything it shook the foundation of intellectual thoughts and religious beliefs. So in such a condition, in such an age, this poem was composed. And this poem, throughout the poem, we will find that the poet was depressed, the poet was melancholic, he was in a condition that he stood in a land of bitter reality. All right. And the entire the society was encircled with the religious faith or Catholic faith, and that is somehow it's completely, it was about to completely getting scattered. All right. So this particular poem, Dvrbch, it presents the poet's sense of loss and his uneasiness as he tried to make a sense around the world of him. All right. And this poem is written in a elegiac note, and obviously it's a dramatic monologue. So what is dramatic monologue? That we find that it's a poem that is written in a form of speech. We find someone passively observing, and from an unknown person the poem is explained in a tone of speech. All right. So here also we will find the same sort of feelings. Now this particular poem, Dvrbch and Thomas Hardy's The Darkling Thrush, both having similar kind of a background, that is the age and the uncertainty and the doubt regarding religious aspect. But there is a basic difference, that in Hardy's poem we find that the poem started with with a note of sadness and ended with a positivity, and the thrush somehow it echoed certain note of positivity. But in this particular poem, Dvrbch, we will find that the poem starts in a tone of serenity, in a note, on a note of serenity, but it ends with something else. Means here we will find at the end, though the poet speaks of certain positive things, how can it be, means when how can he had a try to make things get settled, but it was not conveying that type of positivity. Alright, so without wasting time, let us start. I hope all of you have kept your books ready with you all. So let us start. The sea is come tonight, the tide is full, the moon lies fair upon the streets. On the French coast the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand, glimmering and vast, out in a tranquil bay. As I told you all, the poem actually it begins on a note of serenity. Okay, the sea at Dover is calm and the tide is brimming, and the white cliffs of Dover are glimmering. And at this point he calls his beloved. He calls his invites his beloved and says, come to the window, sweet is the air, sweet is the night air. Now at this point the poet invites his beloved to come to the window and enjoy the night air. Only from the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon-blanched land, listen, you hear the grating roar of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling at their return. Up the high strand begin and cease and then again begin with tremulous cadence slow and bring the eternal note of sadness in. So up to this much, when the poet invited his beloved to enjoy the night air, up to this much it was completely fine. It was a something we could understand. It was a very beautiful scene. It's a vividly describing natural scene, natural on a natural setting. But the poet. Just when the poet uttered only from the long line of spray, only this very word only, it introduces the note of uneasiness of the uneasiness that the poet was going through. All right, the long line of spray, it refers to the horizontal line on beach that is created by foam of the waves. All right, where the sea meets the moon-blanched land, listen. So there you can listen some harsh noise. You hear the grating roar. Okay, so here the poet wants his beloved to put a deep minute observation that it only hints in a certain fact, and that is you all will come to know, of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling at the return of the high strand begin and cease and then again begin. As the waves, the pebbles, means when the waves withdraw, they take away the pebbles, and when it comes back, it returns back, they throw them back to the sandy shore. So here this particular thing, the poet says that yes, it first seems that the land is moon blanched. Okay, the land, though it's moon blanched, the land looks pale, and the whole landscape also, it diffuses a note of sadness. And here this rise and fall of the pebbles, this also produces a quivering note. Okay, and that quivering note only suggests a sadness, as the poet says, with tremulous cadence, slow and bring. This cadence means the slow music of waves that also makes the poet depressed and obviously melancholic, as he says the eternal note of sadness in. This only reminds the poet that means the permanence of sorrow and suffering in human life, whereas happiness is momentary. So that is what is meant in this term, the eternal note of sadness. All right, so here that is what meant in the first stanza. I hope you all have understood. Now let us focus on the next stanza, that is okay, let me take it up to that. Okay. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. So as I told you all, the eternal note that is eternal, the note that is eternal and of sadness. The same thing once again hinted here, that this through the music, that the sea waves actually it represent this, metaphorically it represents the sea of faith here. So this waves, it was the waves were heard long ago by the Greek tragedian Sophocles. Okay, so here and the poet means this insistent sad note that is conveyed through the sea waves, they were also means it's like it means it's eternal, it's immemorial, and this inspired thoughts of pessimism in Sophocles as well. As the poet says, Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. Okay, means the long ago, the poet Sophocles, the great Greek tragedian, he also listened to the sound of the sea waves on the Aegean island in Greece, and the sound reminded him also the distress and despair prevailing in human life. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. This northern sea metaphorically refers to the sea of faith. So the poet here says that this poet, he also hears the same sound of the sea and speaks about the effect of the tragic affliction on human life. All right. So here both Sophocles and Arnold, both of them, they share similar thoughts of pessimism and misery, despite having a great difference between their times. All right. Now let us focus on the third stanza. The sea of faith was once too at the full, and round earth's shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled. But now, okay, let me explain these three lines first. The sea of faith. Okay, the sea of faith is the religious faith. Here, the religious faith is compared to the vast, stretching, endless sea. Okay, was once too at the full. Yeah, the religious faith, it was once the. Here, actually, in this stanza, you will find the central idea of the poem. Here, the deep religious faith of man as compared to the stretching endless sea, and this faith was deeply rooted once. This faith on religion. It was means once the Catholic faith, it encircled the entire world, and that is what meant here, lay like the folds of a bright girdle fall. So girdle is an ornament that women they wear around their waist. So the religious faith actually encircled entire human being. But now I only fear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind down the vast ages drear and naked singles of the world. So here the poet says that but now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar. Here, metaphorically, the poet says the world is actually devoid of religious faith and indulged in a spiritual crisis. So here, the absence of faith has created fear, confusion, and this sort of uneasiness. So that is why the poet says it's melancholy. As I told you all that. That the unquestioning religious faith is no more, and this has happened as a result of the scientific evolution, that is Darwin's theory of evolution, or that industrial progress or revolution in industrial aspects and all. So this sea of faith, that is faith on religion, has it has been declined fast and has left behind a world sense of vitality and vigor, and it's completely, the heart's reality has left humankind actually in a completely utterly in a confused and puzzled condition. Now at this point, the poet says in the fourth stanza that our love, let us be true to one another. Now the poet, he emphasizes that in this world, which is actually without in a world, he emphasizes in a world that is completely devoid of religious faith, he emphasizes on the importance of love, and he says, let us be true to one another. For the world, which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. So here the poet says that here he actually urges to his beloved to be true to one another. Okay, see, he emphasizes on the importance of love. He knows that the loss of faith has turned this entire world into a bitter reality. So he here asks his beloved, he urges to her to be loyal to one another, because this world which is full of opulent beauty, joy and optimism, has neither love nor beauty nor radiance. So here the only way to sustain on this world is to be sustain is the only solution, or only alternative if we find, that is the mutual trust and love. All right, and we are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight. See, alarms actually the sound of warning something, so that is also confused. So we are here as on a darkling plain, we are in a world of complete darkness, swept with confused alarms, and we are swept, we are somehow laid by confused alarms, means confused sounds of warning of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. Means we are in a fight, in a world of total darkness, and we do not know whether we are killing friends or foes. So at this condition, mutual trust and love is the only alternative in this world full of confusion to sustain. All right, so here that is what the poet puts emphasis. Okay, the poet emphasizes on this particular fact. Okay, so here this is all about the poem Dvrbch. I hope you all could understand. Still we have live classes, means we will be having live interactions, and there I think if you face any sort of problem or doubt, you can let me know. Once again, I will try to make you understand. This much for today. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.